Christie, do I have your permission to record this?
Yes.
Good. What's up, Flexies? I'm CHRIS ERYX, aka Baby Trump. I know you haven't seen me in a minute. I have been busy. Obviously, look behind me. We have an event coming up that I am going to be blessed and humbled to share the stage with some unbelievable patriots, some unbelievable Americans that you've heard in other events. You probably listened to their podcast, and we're all going to be under one roof, and you're going to get to see us. So I've been working on that for about 3 months, so I do apologize, but you are now going to see my face every single day. So get used to this, right? So a couple of things I want to talk about. Go to my website, flexthetruth.com. All the information about the Reckoning Fest here in Mesquite, Texas is on there. We're looking at sponsors. We put that up last night. Looking for vendors as well. So if you know anybody that would love to sell their merchandise at this event, we're looking around 3,500 to 4,000 people. But the most important thing, and Chrissy, I don't know if you know this, but we're being streamed through AMP, America's Voice, Cloud Hub, Brighteon, and 107. So 5 social platforms, over 25 million followers will be able to see this event live. So, but I'm gonna get myself out of the way because I just want to bring up the start. And we were talking before we came on, like I do with all my other guests. And the first time I saw her was, she was talking from Women for Trump in DC. And I was teasing her. I said, you know, it was so crazy. I had my ears like this next to the speaker because if you were there, the women were screaming on the mic. It was like almost a contest, who could yell louder on the mic? And this woman came up and spoke, and I was like, who is that? Who is that? And she was so powerful, not on how loud her voice was, but what her message was and how she drove it home. I had the opportunity to meet with her and share a stage with her, Clay Clark's event. I've seen her every single time that I've been there. But what I love about this woman is that she's no nonsense. I told her that. I'm like, I see you with your security. I'm like, hi, bye. I get a hug, you know, and she's off. She is off because she's so mentally focused on the message that she has to give out. And each and every time it's a different message. I love that about her as well. It's my honor, my privilege to bring up none other than women fighting for America. Did you hear that? Women fighting for America. Yeah, there are women fighting for America. And here's a woman that, you know, stepped up because God tapped her on the shoulder and said, you need to do this. Christie Hutcherson. Hello, Christie.
Hey, Chris. Hey, listeners out there.
She has a great name, doesn't she? Christie. So we were talking, and there were so many good things that we talked about. And I don't know if, I definitely know my listeners, my Flexies don't know, but talk about how you got involved in this. This is an unbelievable story. I didn't even know about this. So go ahead, take it away, Christie.
Well, Chris, you know, you're a Christian and I'm a Christian first and foremost. I serve my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And, you know, working in the DC area, I'm from the great state of Florida. I live here, raised my children here, but I worked in DC for a little over 18 years. My husband and I had a consulting business. We were defense contractors in the DLA, and we helped with the troop drawdown in Iraq and Afghanistan. I could go on and on, but you know, when I started looking at what was going on in the swamp, very deep on both sides of the fence. And then, like I said, it doesn't matter if you have an RD or an I behind your name. This is an American issue. This isn't a patriotic issue, not a political issue. And I was privy to see how the swamp and the military were destabilizing our country and on this collision course for this globalist society and the corruption and all those things that go along with it. And as I was telling you, I was having a Bible study in my backyard almost 3 years ago, and I was called out by the Lord. And he said, Christie, I called you in 93 and I called you in 2012 and you denied me both times. Are you going to deny me a third? And with that, there's a lot of other things that go on behind that, but I threw my hands up in the air and I said, not equipped, not qualified, and I'm a nobody. but I'm not going to run from you, God. And I'm going to step down as CEO of my company and do whatever it is that you called me to do. And, you know, he tapped me on the shoulder and he whispered in my ear, Chris, and he said, Christie, I'm calling the nobodies because the somebodies haven't been doing their job.
Amen. Amen.
So I've been on this mission ever since.
That. Like you know, I always say I was an outcast. I was a misfit. I never fit in. But now is the time for, like you said, the nobodies, the misfits, the outcasts. I mean, that's who Jesus hung out with.
That's right.
He didn't hang out with the elite. So go ahead with your story.
So with that, I went on a 3-month bus tour. Women Fighting for America was created out of that. And we went on a bus tour. And, you know, when I first got started in this, the bus tour wasn't about, and I could have easily, you know, been on the Trump bandwagon and all that. I did work on Trump's campaign, but in 2016 and from Duval County, but it wasn't about who sits in the White House. It really has no bearing who that individual is, ID or R. What matters is their policies, their agendas, and if they're constitutionalists and America first. And that's what we needed to educate on. And we still need to educate the people on that throughout the United States. We have to stop making this a political issue. What's going on in our country is about the demise and the fall of America to usher in a worldwide globalist agenda. And you know, individuals cannot fathom, the people cannot fathom how we have those sitting in the White House who would want to sell out our country and not keep their power, so to speak. Well, that power is going to shift and look a little bit differently, but they're gaining in financial gains. There's so much stuff we can unpack here, but we, the people, need to understand that we have players and infiltrators and treasonous individuals who are selling us out and selling our country out for a globalist movement. And that's what my mission is, to expose that, to educate, to activate, and to mobilize individuals all across America on what's at risk right now.
Wow. And I don't know if you know this, I was listening this morning, but do you know Florida is #1 on China hitting up on buying property, and DeSantis is really, really trying to keep them out.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable in what you're saying, because, you know, they bought up the farmland, you know, Fauci and the China regime buying up all the farmland. And now we can see why. We can see now with the food shortages. I don't know if you heard about how they went to the Amish and, you know, sit there and told them they couldn't do business anymore. I mean, it's been unbelievable, and that's what they're doing. They have to attack the food shortages. They're going to go after our guns, which the FBI now is going door to door. I don't know if you saw that in Missouri. Guy bought 2 guns. FBI shows up at his door a couple of days later. Well, first of all, I'm not smart. I don't know law that much. Pretty sure that is not in the job description of the FBI.
It is not. It is not. And you know what? The other thing that concerns me about the Chinese Communist Party is we're allowing them to purchase land right next to the most sensitive military installations and bases that we have. And I can tell you, being somebody who's literally been in the trenches at the border for over 2 years now, when I say in the trenches at the border, on the front lines, literally driving from Tijuana, Mexico to every nook and cranny in between in Texas, been on the northern border. It's been my life for 2 years. And the reason why I've spent so much time at our southern and northern borders is because this administration is utilizing the open borders, not about immigration. It is about invasion. It is about the United Nations, Chinese Communist Party, Russia, and our enemies and adversaries working in cohorts with this administration to take down and destabilize our country. And by the way, bringing in terrorists and training military-aged men on our military bases and some private installations that they've purchased that we've witnessed personally and have photographs of. So this keeps me up at night every day. We have a major problem, and we'll get back to the food shortage, because the supply chain and the food shortage is all part of the open borders and how they're going to destabilize our country and what's coming next.
Wow. I mean, when I sit there and I go, this is 2022. We have food shortages. Our gas is higher than it's ever been. I mean, I was 10 years old, 1978, when it was the gas shortage, and there
Under
were
Carter.
lines, I mean, lines of gas. That's how I became a salesperson. I took my little red wagon and was selling sodas up and down the line. It's a true story. I never knew that, I was going to be a salesperson until then. But, we're seeing that again, and we're seeing it now with the food. We're seeing it with the gas. We're seeing it, I'm seeing it building homes, even with supplies, just getting supplies where it took 6 to 9 months to build a brand new home in Texas. It's taken a year to 15 months.
Absolutely. And this is all part of the overarching plan to bring down. See, America is the last beacon of light and hope for the world. We're the voice for the voiceless. We're the beacon. We're the ones who are stopping the evil to be perpetrated on smaller countries or countries that can't defend themselves. And the globalists, World Economic Forum, and when I say the globalists, part of that's our regime inside America as well. You've got the Canadians, you've got different players throughout the world, Merkel, and all of these different players, right? You've got Klaus Schwab, excuse me. They have a plan. There's a plan in place. Bill Gates, all of these guys. There's a plan, and America is the one who's standing in the way. Trump was a disruptor. He was a disruptor in that plan. And that's the reason why they are so venomous about making sure he doesn't ever be a president again and sit in the White House again, because he disrupted it. And I can tell you, they're not going to allow that to happen again. No. And I know we're jumping ahead, but I want to kind of touch base on this. I get really frustrated right now because I understand that we're still working towards this 22 election that's going to happen. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, it's not happening. And I'll be the first one to come on every program and say, I'm wrong. And I have to pray to God, I'm wrong.
Me too.
But I'm telling you, I'm not wrong. I've been talking about this for about 6 months now, and trying to sound the alarm. We will not have a 22 election. And people are like, well, how in the world can that happen? Well, we've got something in the Constitution. If there is severe civil unrest or some kind of catastrophic event that we cannot have a free and fair election, it can be postponed. And that's what I think is getting ready to happen. We are going to have a postponement of the elections. And I call it the perfect storm that's brewing and coming. And it has to do, it's kind of like the great spider web. And you have all of these different things happening all at the same time. We're going to have, this new monkeypox, COVID crap, which is all a bunch of BS anyway. Then you have the supply chain. Then you got the food shortage. Now you've got the gas shortage. By the way, your electricity bills and everything else, I'm not sure about. If you got your bill last month, you're starting to see how much more increasing that's happening. You've got jobs that are going down. We have super inflation, hyperinflation. So you start looking at all these. Now let's look at the southern border. We have 80% of everybody who's flown, who have entered the United States illegally through the invasion at the southern border has been young adult males of fighting age. For the last year and a half, they've been taking these young adult males and placing them within certain military installations. They've also been placing them with private facilities that this administration purchased and trained and turned into training camps. They call them the exotics. And they're training the brown army. Didn't Obama tell you he was going to have a brown army? They're training the brown army against you. They always tell you what they're going to do. We just don't believe it. So I've followed this with me and my team, and we have locations, we have footage of these particular areas. And on top of that, now you have terrorists. So the news media has told you, Chris, that you have 50 known terrorists on our watch list that they've caught. I can tell you, I just was, and I'll show you a picture really quick. Me and my team were doing operations in the desert where we call no man's land. And this is very important because we've been there numerous times. We came across, we couldn't get to them in time to apprehend them. I want your viewers to look at this. Those are terrorists. Those are drug cartel. And I want you to see fully loaded auto weapons bringing in terrorists. These terrorists we've identified, they're from Syria and from the Middle East. And there was a couple Chinese in there. These are gotaways. You know the gotaways that they tell you about? Well, the gotaways are not your individuals coming for a better way of life. They're the terrorists. They are now living and breathing in your communities all across the United States, waiting for the order to have death to America and to strike. We're already seeing collateral damage happen. And I'm talking in military terms because that's my brain. So you've got collateral damage already starting to happen. I briefed Governor Ducey's office 3 months ago. It was Governor Ducey's office, the 23 sheriffs, including Sheriff Mark Daniels, Sheriff Lamb, and some other high-profile sheriffs, Senator Borelli, representatives, other senators, the Appropriations Committee, and the Attorney General's office. My team that I brought, I call them the dream team, 5 different major organizations with very special skill sets and equipment and technology. And we told them how we can shut this down and stop it and stop the terrorists and catch and apprehend them. To deaf ears, they did nothing. Tom Homan was also in that meeting and understood my solution was the solution. I briefed them on taking the fentanyl. And I know I'm talking because this is so important for the American people to understand. The Chinese Communist Party gives the cartels the synthetics and the ingredients to make the carfentanil and fentanyl. We've had such an uptick in fentanyl and carfentanil coming into our nation. Why do you think that is?
Yep.
There's deaths because I believe that they're going to partial use this as a bioweapon against the American people. If you take fentanyl powder and you sprinkle it on a gas pump, on a playground, in a school, on an escalator, in a mall, you will drop dead within seconds if you do not have Narcan. I believe that's going to be one component that they're going to utilize to wipe out a lot of us Americans. You're already seeing it in Kentucky. I believe it's Kentucky. A woman got a $1 bill laced with fentanyl, and she was lucky to get to the hospital. She barely lived. A police officer was searching a vehicle, touched fentanyl, dropped dead, but they had Narcan, which reversed it. You do not have to do drugs to die and succumb to fentanyl and carfentanil. All you have to do is physically touch it on your skin and you're dead. I believe that's one way that they're going to utilize to kill multi-mass casualties in America.
It makes a lot of sense, Christie, to what you said, because remember when, I call him green screen Biden. When green screen Biden came in and hijacked our country, remember all the laws that were passed throughout the states, Oregon, where you can do, heroin, right? So why were all these laws? Remember, he just talked about giving out crack pipes.
Yep.
So why, number one, I think is keep us dumb and high. But number two, you lace it with fentanyl. You lace the drug with fentanyl, boom. So you have all these people, you open up the drugs, right? Say, okay, it's legal, do it as much as you want. Even people that smoke pot. And listen, you could tell me I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, they lace pot with fentanyl. It happened. If you go online and you look at the cases where the cops were like, we had no idea. They said they were smoking pot, but they had to have Narcans. I mean, it happened outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, about a year or two ago.
117,000 overdoses last year alone. That's what we know of. Fentanyl deaths are up. As a matter of fact, I can talk to that because my sister's best friend, her son never did drugs, was at a party, college, smoked a joint. It was laced with fentanyl and he's dead. She had to bury him just a month ago. This is time and time again because they want to take out the youth. This is just one other way, but it's not even just in the drugs. If it's on a gas pump, if it's on a merry-go-round, if it's on the mall escalator in an airport, it's easy to leave this, it's undetectable. If you take, so in my presentation, I had a sweet and low packet. So imagine a sweet and low packet, open it